Welcome to the Beyond the Sound podcast. Here at Beyond the Sound, we explore and discuss music and arts happenings in the Salvation Army Northwest Division, serving Washington State, Northern Idaho, and Western Montana. I am your host, John Opina, Divisional Music and Gospel Arts Director, and I am joined by my co-host,
Keith Almanza, Assistant Director for the Division.
Thank you for joining us for episode 9. Here we go. All right, Keith. So we just got back from Encore at Territorial Encore down in Southern California. And before we get to the actual Encore bits, there's always some things that we always have to do. At least I have to do when I get into Southern California, or pretty much anywhere where there's an in and out. If you can imagine where this is going.
Spoiler alert. In and out stop, yeah.
So I obviously had in and out, but what are some top 3 SoCal eats that you had from the trip down to Southern California?
Before we go into that, how many in and out stops would you say you had?
I know exactly. 4.
4. And we were down there for how many days?
Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah, so I guess technically 4 days, but...
One a day.
I think last time I exceeded that. But I can't remember. Anyway.
Let's see. I went Thursday night when I flew in.
Yeah.
Friday night when my wife flew in. Saturday lunch at Encore was In-N-Out truck. Sunday lunch, which I wasn't even hungry. So I had like 4 bites of a burger from each of the kids, and then some fries, and then a drink.
Yeah, I think I had Friday alone. I could be overestimating, but I think I had roughly 15,000 calories that day. It did a number on me.
Because you went to Disney.
I did. And there's a lot of bucket list things on the food menu that I had to go for, and I am paying for it still. But I guess, so if we're going to do our top 3 as SoCal eateries, or we'll call it more food we can't get here, I guess. In-N-Out definitely is up there, probably number 1. It's so simple, but so good at the same time.
In-N-Out?
In-N-Out, yeah.
I would have to say that this trip, and maybe it was that particular one at the outlet mall, like the fries were actually pretty decent. Like, I personally think In-N-Out fries are pretty garbage. If I could have like a Five Guys fries with In-N-Out burger, like,
ooh, yeah,
that'd be pretty good. I would even take Dick's Burgers fries over In-N-Out fries.
I think we can both agree Wendy's is probably at the bottom of the barrel as far as fry quality goes. But In-N-Out's not bad. I think it's more consistent than most, but
I don't know, man. Like, if you don't eat it within 3 minutes, they're hard and tasteless.
yeah, I mean that's an element, sure.
Anyway, go ahead.
So In-N-Out's up there for me. I would say Pickup Sticks, but
Garbage.
it was a bad stop, I think, because we got that on our way back to the airport, and it was not good.
I think the only thing worse is the Milk House in Everett. that Milk House Coffee Company. That was yesterday was Juneteenth, and so we had the day off, and so I took my daughter Emily and her friend who stayed the night over, and went to the Milk House because this one place that we go to, South Fork, down at the marina, was closed, and they serve would-be bagels, and so we went to the Milk House Coffee Company and got bacon cheddar bagels with no bacon. I got a rock hard chocolate coconut scone that I'm pretty sure could break a window. Ellie got a breakfast burrito. She took one bite and she said she didn't like it. And then I think she did finish her plain bagel, but just not a good experience. Anyway, Pickup Sticks.
No, and those who don't know, Whidbey Island bagels are typically really good. But for whatever reason, this place yesterday was a big swing and a miss there. All right, so In-N-Out for sure. I didn't get any Mexican while we were down there.
We didn't either.
No?
No.
That's unusual.
Yeah, because so before we went to pick up sticks on Sunday, I was like, Pax, we should get you like some real carne asada fries, right? Because Paxton loves carne asada fries. And there's nothing near the airport, like in that radius. There's like a Rubio's, which no. There's an El Torito, which we didn't have time. And a lot of other like restaurant style stuff.
But no taco shops.
No taco shops. Like we'd have to go back into like Orange County, and by the time I realized that, we didn't have time to like go back, and so it was a bummer. I was bummed out for PAX, but yeah.
Okay, I think I got to get to number 2. Number 2 would be I'll give it to Raising Cane's. You can get that up in Vancouver. That might be as far as they go, or as close as they get.
I definitely know there's one in Portland. There could be one in Vancouver. I don't know.
I think it was Vancouver because that's like right where we stayed that one time. It was like across the street from the hotel. But yeah, Raising Cane's. I'm coming around on Raising Cane's. When I first had it, I didn't understand what people were all excited about. I was like, I might as well go to KFC and have a better experience. But I'm coming around on Raising Cane's. And then last one, I'll give it to that beignet place in downtown Disney.
Oh, Beignet Express?
Yeah, that was surprisingly good. I didn't have them warm, so when I went to Disney, I got a bunch of beignets to bring back for some of the kids and for me, and I was beyond capacity. I could not even like have half of one when I got them, so I just waited till the next day. So they weren't as good, I'm sure. Everyone
You
was
didn't even
saying.
microwave them?
No,
Why would you do that?
because I don't know what I'm doing. but yeah, beignets.
Okay, so mine definitely In and Out. Now, are these things that we had on this trip specifically, or
Yeah.
just? Okay, well, I mainly just had In and Out. I did have Salt and Straw. That's always a good ice cream. I love Salt and Straw.
Well, you had the what was a Korean ramen joint, right, with the East Side Crew?
Oh, yeah. It was called Shop K-Trend in La Morada. And it was okay. It was not what I was expecting. It's a very Korean thing where, like, you go to their store and they make you cook your own food. And then we love it.
What was the setup like a bodega? I think I saw some pictures or maybe video.
Yeah, they had, like, a wall of ramen.
Ooh.
But they're, like, prepackaged, right? So, like, not Maruchan, but like if you went to like an Asian grocery store and just walked along like the ramen section, it was pretty much like that, just singles. And then you had like a not a filling station, but at the pay counter you could pay or you can get like toppings. There was like a hot dog, some fish cake, kimchi, corn, and then opposite corner was where you actually make it and just give you like this bowl and you put it on this thing that within like 2 minutes it's cooked.
Interesting.
It just was not a big enough space for 20 plus people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Or however many. I think they only had 5 chairs inside or something like that. And so trying to get, especially with all those kids, trying to get all the food cooked with all those kids and the adults, that was an interesting experience. I wouldn't go back. But, yeah, I love Korean food, though. Actually, I will say I did find this new Korean spot on Harbor Drive. It's not next to Disney, but it's, like, close. It's next to a Subway. I can't even remember the name. But they had, like, these little bowls, like rice bowls, that are actually pretty good. I brought it to Raising Cane's.
Those Raising Cane's, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But that wasn't bad. And then I would have to say Embassy Suites breakfast.
Oh, okay. I don't remember what hotel I was at, but their breakfast was not good.
Well, Embassy Suites does the cooked made to order omelets
Oh, okay.
and eggs, really. And so, we stayed at Embassy Suites, I think, for officers' councils in Portland in the spring, in March. And I just remember like how good their breakfast was. And I was still on some kind of diet then. So like the omelet bar was super helpful and just amazing. I think I had avocado with mine. I would just bring it. But it was just really good. So I guess those would be my three. It's a really lackluster eating experience.
Just a bunch of In-N-Out. We should have just done a ranking of like which In-N-Out meal was your favorite. Well, let's dive into some Encore. I think you had a chance to roam around a little bit and see some of our kids. I tried here and there, but I think the first one I tried to do was go to see Jonah when he was doing his instrumental solo, and I think I got to the door probably 30 seconds after they shut it. So I couldn't get in there, unfortunately, but his mom did send me video
good.
of his solos. So I was kind of stuck in the bands and singing company room. So my experience is a little different than what yours might have been, but why don't you start us off on some of your takeaways from what you saw?
Yeah, Encore scheduling is always tough. Derek does a great job with trying to get performances done on, within a certain amount of time. It's incredibly difficult when the rooms aren't kept on time.
Yeah.
Now, my kids, Paxton and Emily, they did too much. They performed with 3 different corps, and by and large, they were fine. But one, like the drama room was like 15 minutes late. Your room was like 12 minutes late. And then it just so happened that East Side Drama and Seattle Temple Junior Band were at the same time, even though on paper they were like 10 minutes apart from each other. And so Paxton missed the junior band performance. So it's incredibly difficult, but Derek and the THQ team do a really good job of trying to make sure things like that don't happen. I saw quite a few of ours. I thought we did really well. I think the Northwest Division had 26 performances, I think. 11 from East Side, 10 from Everett, a couple from Spokane, Renton.
Temple had at least one.
Vancouver. Yeah, I think it was just their junior band.
Yeah, Vancouver was there for their praise
Or Lacey.
team.
Lacey sang too.
Okay.
But yeah. And so out of that, we had the following winners. We had keyboard level 2, Jonah Sherwood from Renton. The cultural solo category was Lila Henderson from East Side. Now, I think the cool thing about that last year, I don't think anyone knew there was a cultural solo category.
Yeah, I feel like they just created it.
Yeah. And so Lila last year was the only one in it. This year there was 5 performances, I think.
Oh, nice.
And so Lila won that. So that was awesome. Ukulele level 2 winner, Deborah Mader from Puyallup, who sadly they're moving to Alaska. Bass guitar level 1, Paxton from Everett. Instrumental level 2, Jonah Sherwood from Renton. Instrumental level 3, Grace Yum from Eastside. And vocal level 1, Emily Opina from Everett. So out of our 27 whatever entries, we had a number of good winning performances. I will say, now I'm biased because I led the group, but having listened to the winning beginner band, I thought we did a little bit more with dynamics. But
which was the winning beginner band?
I think it was Santa Ana.
Santa Ana.
I think. It was like a cornet band with a baritone and a tuba. They had like 15 of them or something like that. Anyway, it's okay. And then I think Singing Company went to L.A. Korean?
Yeah, Orange County, I think, Korean. Which listening to all those groups, I kind of had it between them and Eastside, which is, I think it was the same thing last year, where I was thinking it was probably very close between the two. I know Captain Jenny was a little distraught after because she thought that there was a big mistake, but it, like, from someone that has heard those songs every week multiple times, I didn't catch it. So I doubt that it really impacted their score at all. I don't know. I was really kind of hoping to get the placements before today. I don't think Derek's had a time to dive into that yet, but it would have been nice to see, like, who might have been second place, third place, and
maybe you got to send them your Excel sheet.
Right, could have had it done.
You could have had it done that right after the performances were done.
Yeah, Andy and I were talking about that recently, actually, about how they need to maybe update to a more modern way of doing it, but
just make it easier and more automated.
yeah, because you wouldn't have to wait like 4 hours for the awards ceremony.
Yeah,
which I'm sure was something to do with the meeting in between, but
yeah, and it wouldn't necessarily even need to be like announced at the awards ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
If they had time, it'd be nice, for people to know where they placed. But definitely at least Sunday night or even Monday, all those scores already in there.
I forget, but I feel like at Congress at least they had the placements done when they announced so when they gave the winners, I thought that the placements were there too.
I think so as well. Surprised they didn't this year, but it could have been time.
Probably. But yeah, I don't remember who won beginner band or what they sounded like, but that was my feedback for almost every group except for Centennial Junior Band. I think was, hey, there's a lot of dynamics on the page that I'm not hearing. It was all more or less, like a mezzo forte plus from everybody.
I was telling Kat this. I wonder if the difference was you and Derek.
Maybe.
Because you actually played with us, with Everett. So Derek judged us as the lone. That was the only time he judged that band. So I wonder if, like, the difference.
He could have been more generous too, though. Who knows? I think that for our band at least, there was that, like, could have gone off the rails out the gate moment with the first cornet part, and it was a good recovery, but
yeah,
I thought that really dinged us a little bit on the score.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was good. It was a good showing. The Chico Corps won quite a bit this year, and the boys are heading up to our division, to Coeur d'Alene, so it'll be nice to see what, if they could bring some of that success and that kind of music drive to the Kroc Center in Coeur d'Alene this summer. And, I guess I just hope they don't get swallowed up by the Kroc Center. That's a big appointment. So, and then, with Kate and James Combs coming to Tacoma, we didn't have anyone from Tacoma this year just because they got, Luke Morrow is not working there anymore, and he was the big driver of all their music and arts stuff. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen next year. Something's going to happen in Tacoma. Hopefully we see something happening in Coeur d'Alene that's part of, the division. More officers are having another year in. They're starting their second year, talking about like Lewiston and Kalispell. I'm excited to see if they can kind of scrounge up some people and hopefully, Vancouver Praise Team, can show up again next year and be even better. So, and then hopefully next year we'll have an Everett team.
Yeah, I think that's something to keep an eye on, is at least in our division, because we do have the aspirations. It's more been like a talking point for the last year plus about doing like an Everett praise team. Now that Kiara is getting more accustomed to playing the bass, I think the only thing really holding that idea back would be a guitarist, because nobody really wants to play it except maybe Josh. But you guys did East Side this last program year, and in one, call it year, big air quotes here, there was a lot of growth there. Then you have, I think, Seattle Temple is doing one too, right, for their youth. So Vancouver, so it's a good number of core as opposed to what has been just Federal Way dominating and then Vancouver coming in second.
Yeah, I agree. And Eastside, we only started working on it really in February.
Yeah, it was pretty late.
And some of those kids are really busy, so I don't think we had a full ensemble for 60% of the time.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
It was pretty funny though, going in near I think it was Encore week. It was like, how do you play an E flat?
Oh, hey.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. The hard part though is picking keys for like the younger voices. I think the good thing about Vancouver and even Federal Way and even Temple, like the singers were more mature and older. Eastside had Emily and Jeslyn, right? So an 8-year-old and a 11-year-old, as their main vocalists, and so trying to find keys that worked for the band, but also for their young voices was tough, especially since some of those songs, the vocal range is pretty high or pretty wide.
Yeah.
Right? What in the key of C, Goodness of God goes down to a low G,
and then
up to a high C.
Screams.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. So trying to find something that is like in the middle was tough, but they did a good job. Yeah.
All right, why don't we segue into what's next for us, which is a week from today, as of time of recording. We're starting our adventure at Summer Music and Arts Camp.
Yes, and where do we start?
Camp Gifford.
Camp Gifford. And we start with Say/Junior Music Camp. Now, I actually have very little to do with that camp because I've put you in charge of all that. So why don't you tell us of some of the things that are happening next week?
Oh, spoiler alerts? Okay. Well, we have, I think last year we had, 4 offerings, right? So Captain Jane did hula, you did ukulele, I did brass, and Eric did drum buckets. This year, we're doing the same, different personnel doing different things this time, though. Like Christiane Clement doing hula. I think I'm doing ukulele. You're doing the new edition for this one, which is going to be, I think we called it electronic music creation, but it's more, you're doing more of like a beat making approach. Is that
No,
fair?
it's, yeah, you can still make music. You're making music. So electronic music creation, what we've called it the last year. And we'll probably just keep the same name. And I'll probably introduce Suno near the end of camp. Just say, hey, like if this is too much work, because we're using BandLab for education. And it's essentially an online DAW or digital audio workstation. So, yeah.
What you're starting with, is that similar to what, say, Andy does at WMI with his elective?
Yeah. And so we have this whole curriculum that, like, the first day, you'll get introduced to, okay, well, this is where you find things. These are all the loops, and these are all the sounds that you can make. And then second day, you'll start creating, like, your own 8-bar kind of loop up to 4 instruments. And then hopefully by Friday, we'll have, like, whole sections of songs. And the cool thing is with BandLab for Education, you can bring in stems or, like, a cappella stems. So let's say Amazing Grace, right? You just take Amazing Grace, and it's in the key of G. It's at 86 beats per minute. You just import that into BandLab, and you tell BandLab, like, hey, this is in the key of G, 86 beats per minute, and it automatically shifts everything that you want to do, like all the sounds that you want to have, and makes it in the key of G, 86 beats per minute. so you can kind of remix and stuff like that. And obviously, if you want to record your own music, you can. We probably won't get there with these kids, but that's the goal.
Very nice. I've been sort of combing through the interwebs, just trying to find stuff that I feel good about bringing along, as far as like call it pedagogically for my classes, and also stuff that sort of fits within the theme. So for those who don't know, the theme is from Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? I think that is the main verse, right? But then it turned into Shine Bright is the overall theme.
Yes.
So trying to find concepts that work with, I guess, both, really not one direction or the other, but so as far as on ukulele, I've been trying to find stuff that, the nice thing about almost everything on ukulele is you can do like the same 3 chords for a lot. So you can get away with a lot.
I mean, Ed Sheeran did that.
Sure.
I mean, like, isn't popular music the same 4 chords anyway?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But so in looking at, say, a choir piece, I'm never really satisfied with what's out there. I find stuff that I'm like, okay, yes, this is the direction I want to go. But then it doesn't 100% align with where my head's at. So then I end up writing stuff or editing stuff. So that's where we're at. So I thought if we did This Little Light of Mine, because it kind of fits with the theme, especially the one that's going to be on the T-shirt. But I have this idea that I'm kind of setting my ways about doing it in like a more bluesy gospel like arrangement that is just not out there. Like, at least not that I could find.
Just be mindful of who has to play the piano for this.
I mean, I could put it on a track and then we can sing along to that. But yes, you are in charge of playing the piano for this. So that's really my concept for this week, because that song, it touches on the theme. It's super simple, really repetitive in the verse. I mean, I guess there is no chorus technically, unless the verse is the chorus. And it's something that can be taught and learned in, what do we have, 3 days?
Yeah.
Essentially with the kids. So
yeah, I tried to find or try to create like a theme praise and worship song for our theme this summer. And I even used like ChatGPT for some prompts. I wrote out some like a chorus and then threw it in ChatGPT, like, hey, create like some verses and a bridge around this. And it just I never liked the results. So unfortunately that didn't happen this year, but I think that'll be the goal for
I
next
think
time.
you did share a list of praise and worship songs for us. I think they are somewhat thematic as far as, I guess, joy would be. If I had to like break it all down to the lowest common denominator, I think joy would be the overall theme of the songs that you chose. I was diving through a number of these on the kit yesterday, and I was trying to not be called a liability on the drum set this time.
It's camp. It's fun. Yeah. And then after that, so that ends. So we leave next Friday, and then we get back on the 2nd
I think we're done
of July.
Tuesday, come back Wednesday. Then we'll do setup at Camp Arnold, which I think we're getting a little quicker, but those light poles are just going to, if we're doing them that day, it's going to eat up some time.
Yeah, and then nothing July 4th. And then our guests come in on the 4th. And camp starts on the 5th. So Music and Worship Arts Camp, the full gamut, starts on the 5th of July
At
with Camp Arnold, with the seniors arriving, and then on Monday the 7th, the juniors arrive. I don't like the way it's broken up conceptually, but we'll see how this one goes. This is another deviation or variation of camp in my 4 years here, so we got to figure out something that works best for everybody. But that ends on the 12th with the final concert, and our guest, Dr. Nathan Miller from Asbury, a good friend of mine. He also is an Asbury alum. He is coming to be our instrumental guest. He's bringing his daughter Eliza, And then returning, we have Summer Bussy from THQ to do some of our dance stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be a good one. So the seniors will have 2 majors a day and an elective. Now, a big change this year is we won't have any choir.
For the seniors.
For the seniors, yeah. There's always back and forth between camp staff and myself about why do we need choir and stuff like that. And, I decided, why don't we try it this year? Instead of choir, we'll throw in an elective. And so we'll see, how the youth do with that. There's quite a number of them. There's ASL, there's mime, there's ukulele as an elective because guitar is a major. Electronic music creation, musical theater, praise and worship, AV. 2 different things: praise and worship, AV, camp press.
Yep.
And I'm sure I'm missing.
There might be 1 or 2.
Yeah, and then for the juniors, they'll kind of do the same kind of layout as, they do at Camp Gifford, so they get 2 choices of classes each day, and they are doing choir, and that'll be led by Captain Jenny. And then on the Monday, we have musical theater on the 14th.
Now we have we're doing it a little differently this time around, right? So there's some call it remote auditioning happening for parts so that they can cast it and begin reading right away. Because I think before it's been they do
like the whole first
like
day.
a meet and greet and a casting the first day, so you lose a day because that's a Monday through Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Musical theater. So that's a really
Yes.
accelerated program. So getting ahead of it this time around that way, I think is a good idea. I'm sure there's going to be some that are late additions like we always have. I think half of the kids last year were not signed up for beforehand, right? So
yeah, unfortunately, we only have one right now, Danica from Olympia. I don't want to give it away what role she auditioned for, but she'll get it. First come, first serve kind of deal. Yeah, and then returning, we have Hannah and Zach Smith from the Eastern Territory. And our show this year is Shrek Jr. So we got the shirts in already. I'm still waiting, see if we can get some props. Because I think that's always been we have to rely on a digital background because we don't have the space or the time to be creating all these sets. But if we could just have like little props, and you're giggling, or you have a little. I have a feeling you have something with.
It takes me back to Aladdin with the magic carpet ride, where it's just like another one of those little panels.
Yeah, and then I think how we do Lord Farquaad will be interesting, or how Hannah and Zach decide to do that. You saw something on Facebook.
Yeah,
right?
I sent you guys something. It was I don't know if this is like a standard way of doing it, but they outfitted Farquaad's costume because in the movie he's a really short man, and so the actor was on, I want to say like catcher's knee guards, like solid black ones that connected to pool noodles as his feet or as his legs. So, he could walk around on his knees without them hurting because he's on the pads the whole time. But, like, the little tunic or whatever covered where the legs connected to. So it looked like, with the black background, it looked like it was his legs. It was pretty funny.
Hey, you could probably just spray paint that pool noodle, right?
Yeah.
Like the lower half, so it's...
And, I mean, I don't want to lay claim to them, but they have pool noodles in that little closet, so we could probably, just borrow one or two.
Yeah, and then the final performance of that is on the 19th of July. And then we have 5 days off before we leave for WMI, which is in Ontario at the University of Redlands from July 25th to August 2nd.
That'll be an interesting change.
Yeah, I'll be excited to be in AC.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time. I'm
Except
excited.
for outside, but yeah.
I'm excited to not have to worry about elevation and not being able to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is something to be said about coming down to the mountain, coming down the mountain on a Saturday, going to Tustin Ranch and being like feeling like Superman.
I have never experienced that. Like coming down, I feel like my
Maybe you're just too far gone, my friend.
my breath capacity increases minimally. It doesn't. I don't feel like there's much more to give.
Oh, well, you're not utilizing the elevation enough. Yeah, and then do you remember what the theme is this year for WMI?
I don't. What was the last year? The Kingdom?
Kingdom Come, maybe? Something.
Have they announced it this year?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's something.
Let me look it up while you're talking.
Yeah. Speaking of food,
One eternity later.
do you have a scripture that you'd like to share?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm always sort of listening to song and finding correlation between song, like the influence behind song. I've been really listening a lot to Good Day by Forrest Frank, mostly because I'm relatively unfamiliar and you put it on the list. And so I'm trying to get that familiarity as far as you never really strive to do like a one-to-one copy, but you do want to do it justice. Depending on what you're playing, I think it's important. It has to be somewhat recognizable for people who are playing with you and who are participating in song, I think. So, But all that to say that I was trying to find influence for a song like that, right? And to me, it kind of comes down to finding joy in all things is where that song is really pointing you to. Which there's many verses that you can pinpoint for that, but I'm going to specifically go to finding joy in knowing God, and being in that presence. So Psalm 16:11, you make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. I think that's a fair verse to pick for a song that defines joy in all things.
Have you seen Forrest Frank's TikToks?
No.
Or his social media? So I'm not sure if this is how he started this song, but he's like parked on a bench or something.
Parked out by a lake outside Santa Fe.
Yes, 70 miles. But he sits there. He has like his whole setup. I think he has like a drum pad, maybe a keyboard, maybe like a computer monitor, and he just has a sign that says like, if you're having a bad day, come sit down. And he'll be like, oh, what's your name? It's like, oh, my name is Keith. And it's like, oh, my name is Forrest. You wanna hear a song? He's like, yeah, sure. And so he hands him like headphones, and he'll start like making a beat, and he'll start singing like "Good Day," and it's interesting to see like the facial expressions change on these people as they like sit down. Maybe like a little weary, maybe down, and all of a sudden, like they have like a happier look on their face. But you should check him out on TikTok or on social media, Forrest Frank. Yeah, and we'll be doing Good Day this summer while we're out of camp. He actually, at one of his live concerts, he actually shows the audience on how he made that song. Like he takes like 15 minutes out of his performance and goes through like, I made this, and I said, oh, let's see, how can we make this? Oh, let's put that in there. So it's actually really interesting on how we did that. So maybe the kids at camp who take electronic music creation, maybe the next hit song is a few weeks away. We will see. Do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah, I think since we're just coming off of the Encore weekend, I can give it to any number of people that participated, but I think in particular, I'm going to narrow it down to Dominic House from the Everett Corps. As you know, I did like the overnight stay with our boys on, what was that, Friday and Saturday, just because Captain Caleb couldn't make it. So I think besides you, who was with your family, it was me and Colonel Brodeen. And I'll gladly draw that short straw for Colonel. But anyway, Dominic, he really kind of kept everybody in line. You know, he's got a very mature presence, especially for his age. What is he? Maybe 14 at this point. So he's definitely got that older brother vibe to him for those kids, and they respect it. You know, so I think outside of performances, because I'm obviously very proud of our kids, especially like Jonah and Deborah, who I've worked a lot with. I would give it to Dominic just simply because of his maturity and his presence. What about you? What do you got?
Yeah, I think I'd have to give a shout out to all our leaders. Not only prepping for divisional encore, but kind of like circling back and re-prepping or continuing on that prep for Territorial Encore. I'm a little bit different mentality in that, like, job's not finished. That Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality of like, okay, we won divisional, so what? Like, Territorial's still to come, and that's the real goal. But sometimes not everyone has that mentality, and two, not the kids don't really care, right? They won divisional, and that's like the highlight. And so to kind of get them to refocus on, okay, we're not done yet. Like, we still have another 4 or 5 weeks to go, and trying to combat that is pretty tough. And I said this earlier, but with my kids participating with 3 core, they were triple duty on having to do all these things, and I could tell that they were getting a little tired. So they won't be doing that next year. But even just the other kids, they're tired of the rehearsing and all that stuff. And so it's, from a leadership standpoint, it's really tough. It's just keeping it going. And so, yeah, I'd have to give a shout out to all the leaders out there who just kept the instruction going. I think the drama troops from Eastside did a wonderful job. And, drama troop A from Eastside, all girls, all under 10 years old. And they did so well. I'm a little bummed that they didn't win, but they did so good. And just to see, like, all the hard work I know Julie's done with them, and even level B, with the older kids who weren't even that old, right? Other than
Kobe's probably the oldest one, right?
Kobe's
yeah.
15? I
think it's 15.
15. Everyone else was 11, 10 and 11. And they were killing it. They were making people laugh. They had a couple hiccups, here and there, but by and large, they did such a good job. And so, leaders, shout out. Leader in general, specifically Julie Henderson.
Nice.
Just really did a really good job with the drama troops. I think our next podcast will probably happen at the end of musical theater. We're going to do like a before the start of the week of musical theater, and then after the performance, we'll kind of do like a recap with.
We've not pitched this at all to Zach and Hannah, but
it'll be fun.
I'm sure they're going to be game. But I think it'll be really interesting where I want to do it all in one episode too, where we do, this is the before, quick little like tune interruption, and then here's the after. Just see like how tired everyone is or how excited everyone is of what we just put on. It could be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should try and get some video or audio with some of the kids at camp too. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Throughout the week.
Oh, we can maybe do like an in-person Q&A for them to answer, for Zach and Hannah to answer the kids. Get some little clips of those. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. We got to get like a TikTok thing going on too. We got to create some TikTok.
Yeah, we're behind the times.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for joining us. That is episode 9 as we kind of recap our summer trip down to Territorial Encore, the winners, and what is looking ahead for us this summer. Camps and more camps, and I think more camps. So
that's the way of things.
This is the way.
This is the way.
All right. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Adios.
In the heart of the rain and evergreen trees, the mountains meet the sea, a place of peace. Melodies rising like the morning mist. We gather to learn, create, and exist. Beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound. Here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound. From blast to brush, from strings to song, every hand and heart finds where they belong. In every note and color, every line and beat, we build a world where souls can meet. Beyond the sound, beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, we lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound. Here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound. From brass to brush, from strings to song, every hand and heart finds where they belong. In every note and color, every line and beat, we build a world where souls can meet. Beyond the sound, beyond the sound, beyond the stage, we lift our voices, we lift our voices, turn the page. A symphony of love, unbound. Here in the PNW, we go beyond the sound.